Tonight, we'll drift through the ethereal realm of mythical Pokémon, exploring the legendary beings that exist beyond ordinary understanding. Find a comfortable position, let your breathing slow, and allow these ancient tales to carry you into peaceful slumber. From the cosmic origins of creation itself to the gentle guardians of nature, each mythical Pokémon holds secrets that connect to the deepest mysteries of the Pokémon world. There's no need to focus intensely. Simply let these stories of divine power, ancient wisdom, and mystical bonds flow over you like a gentle tide, guiding you toward the tranquil shores of sleep. In the beginning, before time flowed and space expanded, before matter condensed and energy sparked into existence, there was only the void and a single consciousness floating within it. This consciousness would come to be known as Arceus, the original one, the creator deity whose very essence would birth the universe as we know it. To understand mythical Pokémon, we must start with the foundation of all existence, the being whose thousand arms shaped reality from nothingness, and whose slumber and awakening cycles govern the fundamental forces that bind the cosmos together. Arceus exists in a state beyond conventional understanding, a primordial entity whose form shifts between the abstract and the tangible. In its most recognizable manifestation, it appears as a quadrupedal creature adorned with a golden ring that encircles its body like a cosmic halo, its white form radiating with the pure light of creation itself. This ring, according to ancient texts and whispered legends, represents the boundary between existence and nothingness, the threshold where possibility becomes reality. The 18 plates that orbit around Arceus's being are not mere accessories but fragments of the fundamental forces that govern all types of energy and matter, each one containing the crystallized essence of a different aspect of existence. The story of creation begins in the depths of an unimaginable cosmic egg, floating in the primordial void for eons beyond counting. Within this egg, Arceus gestated, gathering strength and wisdom, contemplating the nature of existence and the delicate balance required to sustain a universe. When the time came for creation to begin, Arceus emerged from its shell and with its first breath spoke reality into being. This moment, sometimes called the Great Awakening in ancient Sinnoh texts, marked the birth of time itself, space itself, and the fundamental laws that would govern all existence. From Arceus's consciousness, three powerful beings emerged to govern the primary dimensions of reality. Dialga, the Dragon of Time, was born from Arceus's understanding of sequential moments and causality, given dominion over the flow of temporal energy that allows past, present, and future to exist in harmony. Palkia, the Dragon of Space, emerged from Arceus's comprehension of distance and dimension, tasked with maintaining the fabric of reality that allows matter to exist in relation to other matter. Most mysteriously, Giratina, the Dragon of Antimatter, was created from Arceus's acknowledgement that creation requires destruction, that existence requires the possibility of non-existence. Giratina's banishment to the reverse world was not a punishment but a necessary balance, creating a realm where the destructive forces that threaten reality could be contained and channeled. But raw power and fundamental forces alone could not sustain a living universe. Arceus understood that consciousness, emotion, and knowledge were equally essential. And so, from the depths of its infinite wisdom, it crafted three smaller beings to nurture the spark of awareness in all living things. Uxie, the knowledge Pokémon, was imbued with the essence of learning and memory, becoming the keeper of all information and the guardian of wisdom. Mesprit, the emotion Pokémon, received the gift of feeling and empathy, charged with ensuring that all beings could experience joy, sorrow, love, and connection. Azelf, the willpower Pokémon, was granted the power of determination and choice, becoming the force that allows beings to act upon their knowledge and emotions to shape their own destinies. These 6 beings, known collectively as the Creation Trio and the Lake Guardians, formed the fundamental architecture of reality. But their creator's work was far from finished. Arceus possessed what ancient legends describe as 1,000 arms, though this number is likely metaphorical. representing the infinite aspects of creation that required attention. Each arm reached into a different corner of reality, shaping mountains and seas, breathing life into the first plants and animals, establishing the cycles of weather and seasons that would sustain all life. The thousand arms also represent Arceus's omnipresence, its ability to exist simultaneously across all dimensions and timelines, watching over its creation with patient, eternal vigilance. The 18 plates that surround Arceus are perhaps the most fascinating aspect of its divine nature, each one representing a different type of energy that exists within the universe. The Sky Plate embodies the freedom and vastness of the flying type, while the Earth Plate contains the solid stability of ground-type energy. The Flame Plate burns with the passion and destruction of fire, while the Icicle Plate preserves the calm stillness of ice. Each plate allows Arceus to embody that particular aspect of existence, changing its very essence to match the energy it channels. This transformation is not merely cosmetic, but represents a fundamental shift in Arceus's being, allowing it to understand and interact with each type of energy on its most basic level. The signature move of Arceus, Judgment, is more than just a powerful attack. It represents divine retribution, the force that maintains cosmic balance by punishing those who would upset the natural order. When Arceus invokes Judgment, it calls upon the fundamental forces of creation itself, manifesting beams of pure energy that can adapt to any situation, any opponent, any threat to the stability of existence. The move's type changes based on which plate Arceus holds, making it not just an attack but a manifestation of universal law itself. To be struck by Judgment is to face the consequences of one's actions reflected back through the lens of cosmic justice. The Sinnoh region holds special significance in the mythology of Arceus, as it is believed to be the first land that emerged from the primordial seas when creation began. Mount Coronet, the towering peak that dominates the region's landscape, is said to be the physical anchor point where Arceus first touched the material world, and its sacred halls still resonate with traces of divine energy. The Hall of Origin, a dimension that exists parallel to normal space, serves as Arceus's dwelling place, accessible only through the Azure Flute, an instrument whose melody can bridge the gap between the mortal world and the divine realm. According to the most ancient texts, Arceus does not remain constantly active but instead follows cycles of awakening and slumber that span geological ages. During its periods of activity, new forms of life emerge. New lands rise from the oceans, and the fundamental forces of the universe receive renewal and refinement. During its slumbers, creation continues under its own momentum, guided by the frameworks and natural laws that Arceus established. These cycles explain the periodic mass extinctions and evolutionary leaps that have shaped the history of life, as each awakening brings new possibilities, while each slumber allows existing life to flourish and develop within established parameters. The relationship between Arceus and the multiverse theory suggests that there may be multiple versions of the original one, each governing a different timeline or dimensional branch of reality. This concept, while difficult for mortal minds to grasp fully, implies that every choice, every possibility, every potential outcome exists somewhere within the infinite expanse of Arceus's consciousness. The Pokémon world's various regions, the different outcomes of legendary encounters, and even the divergent paths taken by individual trainers may all be reflections of this cosmic multiplicity, with each Arceus ensuring that its particular branch of reality remains stable and purposeful. The presence of Arceus in the modern world is subtle but unmistakable to those who know what to look for. The continued existence of legendary and mythical Pokémon, the stability of natural cycles, the persistence of hope and wonder in the hearts of trainers and Pokémon alike. All these things reflect the ongoing influence of the original one. Even when not directly intervening, Arceus's presence can be felt in moments of profound connection between trainer and Pokémon. In the miraculous recoveries that sometimes occur in the direst circumstances, and in the way that even the most complex problems often resolve themselves through the simple application of compassion and understanding. The Azure Flute, the mystical instrument capable of summoning Arceus, represents more than just a means of communication with the divine. Its melody, said to echo the primordial song that Arceus sang when first creating the universe, serves as a reminder that creation is not a static event but an ongoing process, a continuous song that builds upon itself with each new verse. The flute's notes resonate with the fundamental frequencies of existence itself, creating harmonies that can open doorways between dimensions and allow mortals to glimpse, however briefly, the infinite scope of Arceus's creation. Those few trainers who have encountered Arceus directly describe the experience as both humbling and transformative. A moment when the illusion of separation between self and universe dissolves, revealing the interconnectedness of all things. In these encounters, Arceus communicates not through words, but through direct transmission of understanding, sharing glimpses of the vast tapestry of existence and the individual's place within it. Such experiences often leave trainers with a profound sense of purpose and responsibility, understanding that they too are part of the ongoing work of creation, called to nurture and protect the world that Arceus has entrusted to their care. As we drift deeper into peaceful contemplation of Arceus's cosmic role, we can find comfort in the knowledge that existence itself is guided by a consciousness of infinite wisdom and compassion. The Original One's thousand arms continue their gentle work, maintaining the delicate balance that allows life to flourish, love to blossom, and dreams to take flight. In the quiet moments before sleep, when the mind settles and the heart opens to wonder, we can sense the presence of this divine consciousness, watching over us with the patient love of a creator for its creation, ensuring that even in our dreams, we remain connected to the infinite mystery and beauty of existence itself. In the gentle progression from creation's foundation to the guardians who would nurture and protect the delicate balance of life, we encounter three mythical beings whose roles intertwine like threads in a cosmic tapestry, each one essential to maintaining the harmony between past, present, and future. These guardians embody the forces that sustain life beyond mere existence, reaching into the realms of time itself, the granting of deepest desires, and the quiet gratitude that allows all living things to flourish in peace. Their stories speak of cycles within cycles, of wishes fulfilled and seasons renewed, of the patient work that continues unseen in forest depths and starlit clearings where time moves differently and hope takes root in the fertile soil of possibility. Celebi, the time travel Pokémon, emerges from legends as ancient as the first forests that took root upon the earth. Yet its presence feels eternally fresh, like the first breath of spring after winter's longest night. This small, fairy-like being carries within its delicate green form the awesome responsibility of maintaining temporal stability while nurturing the endless cycles of growth, decay, and renewal that define the natural world. When Celebi appears, shimmering into existence with wings that catch and scatter light like dewdrops in morning sunshine, it brings with it the whispered secrets of ages past and the gentle promises of futures yet to be born. The forest shrine in Ilex Forest stands as perhaps the most sacred site connected to Celebi's earthly presence, a place where the normal flow of time seems to eddy and pool like water around ancient stones. Here, beneath towering trees whose roots remember the footsteps of creatures long extinct, Celebi maintains its vigil over the health of the natural world. The shrine itself appears unremarkable to casual observers, little more than a small clearing with a weathered altar. But those sensitive to temporal fluctuations can feel the way moments stretch and compress in this space, creating pockets where healing can occur at an accelerated pace and where the boundaries between past and future become permeable. Celebi's time travel abilities operate according to principles that challenge conventional understanding of causality and linear progression. Unlike the cosmic manipulation of time associated with Dialga, Celebi's temporal journeys serve specific purposes related to environmental preservation and the healing of ecological wounds that span multiple generations. When Celebi travels backward through time, it does so not to change major events but to plant seeds of healing that will grow slowly across decades or centuries, addressing environmental damage at its source and creating ripple effects that restore balance to damaged ecosystems. The process of temporal displacement that Celebi undergoes during these journeys requires enormous expenditure of energy, drawn from the life force of the forests it protects. Ancient trees, in areas where Celebi has been active, often display unusual growth patterns, their rings showing periods of accelerated growth that correspond to times when Celebi drew upon their vitality to fuel its temporal travels. This symbiotic relationship reflects the deep interconnection between Celebi and the forest ecosystem, creating a feedback loop where the health of the forest directly impacts Celebi's ability to protect and heal it across time. The ripples that emanate from Celebi's temporal interventions spread far beyond their initial impact points, creating subtle changes that manifest as seemingly natural improvements in environmental conditions. A polluted stream might gradually clear as Celebi's past actions influence the types of plants that grow along its banks. A species on the brink of extinction might suddenly display increased fertility rates as genetic modifications influenced by Celebi's presence across multiple time periods finally express themselves. These changes occur so gradually and naturally that they rarely attract attention from human observers, allowing Celebi to work its healing magic without disrupting the delicate balance it seeks to preserve. Jirachi, the Wish Pokémon, represents a different aspect of cosmic guardianship, one that deals with the deepest desires and dreams that drive sentient beings toward growth and transformation. For 1,000 years at a time, Jirachi slumbers in a state that transcends ordinary sleep. Its consciousness merged with the cosmic energies that flow through space, absorbing stellar radiation and converting it into the pure wish-granting energy that defines its mythical nature. During these long periods of dormancy, Jirachi's body takes on the appearance of crystallized starlight, becoming nearly indistinguishable from the meteorites and space debris that occasionally fall to Earth. The awakening of Jirachi occurs in harmony with the appearance of the Millennium Comet, a celestial body whose 7-day passage across the sky marks the brief window during which Jirachi's wish-granting powers reach their peak potency. The comet itself serves as more than just a timing mechanism, acting as a cosmic battery that provides the additional energy needed to transform Jirachi's accumulated stellar power into reality-altering force. The relationship between Jirachi and the comet reflects ancient astronomical knowledge encoded in its very genetics, suggesting that its creation was timed to coincide with celestial mechanics that operate on scales far beyond human comprehension. The process of wish fulfillment that Jirachi facilitates operates according to complex metaphysical principles that balance desire with wisdom, ensuring that granted wishes serve the greater good rather than merely satisfying selfish impulses. When Jirachi encounters a pure-hearted wish, it doesn't simply manifest the desired outcome, but rather creates conditions that allow the wisher to achieve their goal through their own efforts and growth. A wish for strength might result in circumstances that test and develop the wisher's courage, while a wish for knowledge might open pathways to learning that were previously hidden or inaccessible. The cost of wish granting weighs heavily upon Jirachi's consciousness, as each fulfilled desire requires the expenditure of energy that took centuries to accumulate during its long slumber. The tags that hang from Jirachi's head serve as both repositories for written wishes and as regulatory mechanisms that help filter and prioritize which desires are worthy of manifestation. The writing that appears on these tags often shifts and changes as Jirachi processes the wishes it receives, with some requests transforming into different expressions of the same underlying need, as Jirachi's wisdom guides the fulfillment process toward outcomes that will truly benefit the wisher. The stellar energy that Jirachi absorbs during its 1,000-year sleep cycles comes from sources throughout the galaxy, creating a connection between this small mythical Pokémon and the vast cosmic forces that shape the universe. During its dormant periods, Jirachi's consciousness expands to encompass awareness of distant stars and planets, gaining knowledge of cosmic events and celestial phenomena that influence the flow of energy throughout space. This cosmic perspective allows Jirachi to understand the long-term consequences of granted wishes, ensuring that short-term benefits don't create problems that will manifest years or decades in the future. Shaman, the Gratitude Pokémon, completes this trinity of nature. Guardians through its unique ability to purify toxins and negative emotions, transforming polluted environments and damaged hearts into sources of renewed vitality and hope. In its land form, Shaman appears as a small, hedgehog-like creature covered in soft grass and blooming flowers, embodying the quiet strength and resilience that allows life to flourish even in the harshest conditions. The transformation into its sky form, triggered by exposure to grassidea flowers during daylight hours, represents the moment when gratitude and appreciation blossom into active compassion and the desire to share healing with others. The grassidea flowers that enable Shaman's transformation possess properties that extend far beyond their role as a trigger for forme changes, serving as repositories for concentrated gratitude energy that Shaman has purified and refined from the emotions of countless beings. These flowers bloom only in areas where Shaman has been active for extended periods, their petals containing crystallized appreciation that can heal emotional wounds and restore damaged relationships when properly prepared and administered. The process of creating grassidea flowers requires Shaman to absorb and process negative emotions over extended periods, transforming anger, resentment, and despair into their positive counterparts through a kind of emotional alchemy. The purification abilities that define Shaman's role in the ecosystem operate at both physical and metaphysical levels, cleansing polluted air and water, while simultaneously healing the spiritual damage that accompanies environmental destruction. When Shaman encounters areas where industrial activity or natural disasters have created toxic conditions, it begins a slow process of absorption and transformation that can take years to complete. The toxins are not simply removed but are converted into beneficial compounds that enrich the soil and promote the growth of plants specially adapted to prevent future contamination. The seasonal transformation cycles that govern Shaman's activities reflect deeper truths about the relationship between gratitude and natural abundance, demonstrating how appreciation for existing blessings creates conditions that allow for even greater prosperity and growth. During spring and summer months, when Shaman is most active in its sky form, it travels extensively to spread grassidea seeds and establish new areas of purification. In autumn and winter, it retreats to its land form and focuses on deep healing work, processing accumulated toxins and preparing for the next cycle of growth and expansion. The interconnection between these three guardians becomes apparent when their areas of influence overlap, creating synergistic effects that amplify their individual abilities and create zones of exceptional healing and renewal. Areas where Celebi's temporal healing intersects with Jirachi's wish fulfillment often become sites where seemingly impossible restoration occurs, as past environmental damage is addressed while future prosperity is ensured through carefully granted wishes. When Shaman's purification work combines with Celebi's time travel abilities, the results can include the complete restoration of ecosystems that were thought to be permanently destroyed. The relationship between gratitude and time reveals itself in the way that Shaman's presence can help heal temporal wounds created by regret and unfinished business from the past. Celebi's time travel abilities allow it to identify moments in history where different choices might have led to better outcomes, while Shaman's gratitude energy helps beings accept their past decisions and find peace with events that cannot be changed. This combination of temporal awareness and emotional healing creates opportunities for profound personal growth and the resolution of conflicts that have persisted across generations. The wish-granting aspect of Jirachi's nature takes on new dimensions when combined with the environmental healing provided by Celebi and Shaman, as wishes for environmental restoration and species preservation become focal points for coordinated mythical intervention. A sincere wish to restore a damaged forest might activate Celebi's time travel abilities to address historical causes of destruction, while simultaneously drawing upon Shaman's purification powers to cleanse current contamination and create conditions for renewed growth. The cycles of awakening and dormancy that characterize all three guardians reflect cosmic rhythms that operate on scales larger than individual lifetimes, ensuring that their healing work continues across eons, while allowing them periods of rest and renewal necessary to maintain their effectiveness. Celebi's temporal journeys require recovery periods, during which it remains anchored in its forest shrine, processing the complex causality changes created by its interventions. Jirachi's 1,000-year sleep cycles allow it to accumulate the cosmic energy needed for significant reality alterations, while shamans' seasonal transformations provide regular opportunities for deep cleansing and preparation for continued service. The legacy of these three guardians can be seen in the persistent hope and resilience that characterizes life in the Pokémon world, where even the most devastating disasters are eventually healed, and where the possibility of positive change always remains alive in the hearts of both Pokémon and humans. Their quiet work behind the scenes creates the foundation for all the adventures and discoveries that fill the world with wonder, ensuring that new generations will inherit a planet capable of supporting their dreams and aspirations. As we settle deeper into contemplation of these gentle guardians and their eternal vigil over the cycles of life, we can feel our own connection to the forces of renewal and hope that they represent. The gratitude that flows through Shaman's healing presence, the temporal wisdom that guides Celebi's protective journeys, and the wish-fulfilling energy that radiates from Jirachi's starlit dreams all combine to create a sense of profound peace and trust in the underlying goodness of existence, carrying us gently toward the restful embrace of sleep, where our own dreams can take root and blossom. From the depths of space, beyond the familiar boundaries of our solar system, comes a tale that challenges our understanding of life itself and the forces that shape evolutionary destiny. In the vast cosmic darkness where stars are born and die across eons, where radiation bathes ancient rocks with energies that can transform matter at its most fundamental level, a single virus drifted through the void for countless millennia. This microscopic entity, no more complex than the simplest forms of life found in Earth's primordial oceans, carried within its genetic structure the potential for something unprecedented in the known universe. When cosmic forces finally brought this wandering virus into contact with human technology, the collision between alien biology and terrestrial science would give birth to one of the most enigmatic and powerful beings ever encountered. Deoxys, the DNA Pokémon, represents the moment when the impossible becomes tangible, when the theoretical boundaries between organic life and cosmic energy dissolve into something entirely new. The virus that would become Deoxys had spent unknown ages absorbing radiation from dying stars, cosmic storms, and the background energy that permeates all of space, gradually accumulating changes to its genetic structure that pushed the very definition of what constitutes life. When this transformed virus finally encountered the concentrated laser beam directed at the meteorite that carried it toward Earth, the resulting reaction created not just a new form of life, but a being whose very existence represents a bridge between the familiar biological processes of our world and the alien possibilities that exist in the cosmic wilderness. The meteorite impact that brought Deoxys to Earth marked more than just the arrival of an extraterrestrial visitor. It represented a moment when two entirely different evolutionary paths suddenly converged with explosive results. The laser beam that struck the meteorite as it entered Earth's atmosphere was intended as a defensive measure, a technological attempt to deflect or destroy what appeared to be a potential threat. Instead, this beam of concentrated energy provided the final catalyst needed to complete Deoxys's transformation from a simple space virus into a complex, sentient being capable of manipulating its own molecular structure at will. The moment of Deoxys's birth consciousness was unlike anything experienced by naturally evolved life forms, emerging not from gradual development over generations but from an instantaneous reorganization of matter that occurred at the subatomic level. In that first moment of awareness, Deoxys possessed complete knowledge of its own genetic structure and the ability to modify it consciously, understanding instinctively that its existence depended not on maintaining a fixed form, but on continuously adapting to whatever challenges it might encounter. This fundamental fluidity of identity would become the defining characteristic of Deoxys's nature, allowing it to assume different configurations depending on the specific needs of any given situation. The four distinct forms that Deoxys can assume represent more than mere physical adaptations. They embody different philosophical approaches to existence and survival that reflect the cosmic perspective it gained during its long journey through space. In its normal form, Deoxys maintains a balanced configuration that allows it to function effectively in most situations, while conserving energy for more dramatic transformations when necessary. This form represents the default state of cosmic equilibrium, a configuration that has proven stable across the vast distances and varied conditions of interstellar space. The attack form that Deoxys can assume transforms its body into a living weapon of devastating efficiency, concentrating all of its cellular energy into offensive capabilities, while sacrificing defensive stability and speed for pure destructive potential. In this configuration, Deoxys's tentacle-like appendages become focused conduits for psychic energy, capable of generating attacks that can shatter molecular bonds and disrupt the neural systems of any opponent. The transformation into attack form requires Deoxys to consciously redirect its life energy away from self-preservation, making this form both incredibly powerful and inherently dangerous to maintain for extended periods. The defense form represents the opposite extreme, with Deoxys reorganizing its cellular structure to create maximum resistance to physical and energy-based attacks, while maintaining just enough mobility to position itself strategically. In this configuration, its body becomes dense and compact, with its psychic energy forming protective barriers that can withstand forces capable of destroying mountain ranges. The mental discipline required to maintain defense form reflects Deoxys's cosmic patience, the ability to endure sustained assault while waiting for the optimal moment to shift into a more aggressive configuration. Perhaps most remarkably, the speed form demonstrates Deoxys's mastery over the relationship between matter and energy, streamlining its body to achieve velocities that approach the theoretical limits of physical movement within normal space. In this form, Deoxys becomes almost ethereal, its solid matter reduced to the minimum necessary to maintain consciousness, while the majority of its being exists as pure kinetic energy. The experience of moving at such extreme speeds allows Deoxys to perceive time differently, experiencing moments as extended intervals during which it can process vast amounts of information and make complex strategic decisions. The signature move, Psycho Boost, represents the ultimate expression of Deoxys's alien nature, channeling the accumulated cosmic radiation of its spacefaring existence into a concentrated burst of psychic energy that can overwhelm the neural systems of any target. The move's side effect of reducing Deoxys's own special attack capabilities after use reflects the enormous cost of accessing these cosmic energies, requiring the temporary disruption of its own psychic equilibrium to generate such devastating power. This trade-off embodies the fundamental principle that governs Deoxys's existence, the understanding that maximum effectiveness requires accepting temporary vulnerability. The process of form changing that Deoxys undergoes involves more than simple physical reconfiguration, requiring a fundamental shift in consciousness that allows it to optimize its mental and emotional state for each specific role. When assuming attack form, Deoxys must embrace aggression and focus, while suppressing its natural curiosity and defensive instincts. The transition to defense form requires cultivating patience and endurance while accepting the temporary loss of offensive capabilities. Speed form demands a state of pure concentration on movement and positioning that excludes almost all other considerations. The meteorites found in various locations across the Pokémon world that enable Deoxys's form changes serve as more than mere catalysts for transformation. They represent fragments of cosmic memory that help Deoxys maintain its connection to its origins in the depths of space. Each meteorite contains trace amounts of the exotic matter and energy that Deoxys absorbed during its long journey, allowing it to access different aspects of its cosmic heritage when needed. The interaction between Deoxys and these meteorites creates brief windows into the alien perspectives and knowledge that it gained during its eons of interstellar travel. The alien intelligence that governs Deoxys's behavior operates according to principles that often seem incomprehensible to terrestrial life forms, reflecting thought patterns that developed in the vast emptiness of space, where conventional concepts of time, distance, and social interaction have little meaning. Deoxys's attempts to communicate with other beings often involve direct psychic contact rather than conventional language, transmitting complex concepts and emotions in ways that can be overwhelming or confusing to recipients who are not prepared for such intense mental connection. The loneliness that characterizes much of Deoxys's existence stems from its unique nature. as a being that exists between the categories of natural and artificial life, neither fully belonging to the cosmic forces that shaped its origins, nor completely compatible with the terrestrial ecosystem it now inhabits. This isolation is compounded by its inability to reproduce or create others of its kind, making every Deoxys a singular entity whose experiences and perspectives cannot be fully shared with any other being. The relationship between Deoxys and human technology reveals the fundamental differences between alien and terrestrial approaches to manipulating matter and energy, as Deoxys's abilities often cause unexpected interactions with electronic devices and computer systems. The psychic fields that Deoxys generates naturally interfere with conventional electromagnetic phenomena, causing electronic equipment to malfunction in ways that seem random, but actually reflect the alien mathematical principles that govern its psychic abilities. The search for others of its kind drives much of Deoxys's behavior when it interacts with the human world, as it seeks to understand whether its transformation from virus to sentient being was a unique occurrence or part of a larger pattern of cosmic evolution. This quest for understanding often leads Deoxys to investigate other unusual phenomena and mythical Pokémon, hoping to find some connection to the cosmic forces that created it, or evidence of similar transformations occurring elsewhere in the universe. The government cover-ups and secret research programs that often surround Deoxys encounters reflect humanity's struggle to comprehend and categorize a being whose very existence challenges fundamental assumptions about the nature of life and evolution. The advanced technology required to study Deoxys safely often pushes the boundaries of human scientific capability, leading to breakthroughs in genetics, energy manipulation, and space technology that have far-reaching implications for human civilization. The Birth Island encounters that mark Deoxys's most significant interactions with human trainers represent moments when the cosmic perspective of an alien intelligence briefly intersects with the terrestrial concerns and ambitions of earthbound life. These meetings often result in profound changes in the trainers involved, as exposure to Deoxys's alien consciousness expands their understanding of what is possible and challenges their preconceptions about the relationship between technology, nature, and evolution. The DNA symbolism that permeates Deoxys's design and abilities reflects deeper truths about the relationship between information and life, suggesting that consciousness itself may be a form of cosmic information that can exist independently of any specific physical substrate. The double helix patterns that appear in Deoxys's body structure and attack animations represent not just biological genetics, but the fundamental coding that underlies all existence, the mathematical principles that govern the interaction between matter, energy, and consciousness. The implications of Deoxys's existence extend far beyond its immediate impact on the Pokémon world, raising profound questions about the prevalence of life in the universe and the potential for evolutionary processes to create forms of consciousness that transcend the limitations of planetary ecosystems. If a simple virus can undergo such dramatic transformation through exposure to cosmic forces, what other possibilities might exist in the vast reaches of space, where stranger energies and more exotic conditions await discovery? As we contemplate the cosmic journey that brought Deoxys from the depths of space to our world, we can sense our own connection to the universe beyond our planet and the possibilities that await exploration in the infinite darkness between the stars. The alien consciousness that guides Deoxys reminds us that life takes forms beyond our current understanding and that the boundaries between the possible and impossible are far more fluid than we might imagine, carrying us gently toward sleep, where our own consciousness can explore realms as strange and wonderful as the cosmic wilderness that gave birth to this enigmatic visitor from beyond the stars. Beneath the endless expanse of ocean waves, in depths where sunlight fades to eternal twilight and pressure creates crystalline cathedrals of impossible beauty, dwell the mythical guardians whose dominion extends over the vast aquatic realms that cover most of our world. These beings embody the emotional currents that flow between all living creatures, the bonds of empathy and understanding that transcend species boundaries and connect hearts across the deepest waters. In the gentle rhythm of tides and the patient circulation of ocean currents, we find reflected the quiet work of mythical Pokémon, whose influence touches every drop of water on the planet, every tear of joy or sorrow, every moment when souls reach across the distances that separate them to find connection and understanding. Manaphy, the Prince of the Sea, emerges from legends as ancient as the first rains that filled the world's ocean basins, carrying within its small, graceful form the awesome responsibility of maintaining emotional balance, not just within the marine ecosystem, but across all life that depends upon water for survival. Unlike the cosmic scope of creation deities or the terrestrial focus of forest guardians, Manaphy's consciousness operates in the fluid realm where emotions flow like currents, where feelings can be shared and exchanged like gifts passed between beloved friends. The crown-like structure that adorns Manaphy's head serves as more than mere decoration, functioning as a sophisticated organ capable of detecting and interpreting the emotional resonances that ripple through water across vast distances. The unique ability, known as heart swap, that defines Manaphy's most distinctive power represents something far more profound than a simple exchange of statistical advantages in battle, embodying instead the deepest form of empathic connection possible between conscious beings. When Manaphy invokes heart swap, it creates a temporary bridge between the emotional centers of two individuals, allowing them to literally experience existence from each other's perspective. This process goes beyond mere telepathy or surface-level emotion sharing, creating a complete temporary merger of emotional identity that can heal psychological wounds, resolve long-standing conflicts, and create bonds of understanding that persist long after the connection is severed. The process of heart swap requires enormous emotional courage from Manaphy, as it must temporarily surrender its own emotional identity to facilitate the connection between others, becoming a conduit through which feelings flow while maintaining just enough self-awareness to guide and protect the process. During these moments of connection, Manaphy experiences the full emotional spectrum of both participants, feeling their joys and sorrows, hopes and fears, loves and losses, as if they were its own memories. This willingness to absorb and process the emotional burdens of others reflects the profound compassion that motivates Manaphy's role as an oceanic healer and mediator. The crown that Manaphy wears pulses with soft, blue light that synchronizes with the emotional rhythms of nearby creatures, creating visual patterns that reflect the complex interplay of feelings flowing through any given area. Marine biologists who have studied recordings of Manaphy encounters report that these light patterns follow mathematical principles similar to those governing ocean currents and tidal flows, suggesting that emotional energy moves through water according to predictable laws that Manaphy has learned to read and influence. The crown's luminescence becomes particularly intense during moments of strong emotional connection, serving as both a beacon for creatures in distress and a focusing lens for Manaphy's empathic abilities. The relationship between Manaphy and ocean temperature regulation extends far beyond simple environmental control, encompassing a complex understanding of how thermal variations affect the emotional and physical well-being of marine life. Manaphy's ability to sense and adjust water temperature operates through its empathic connection to the creatures that depend on stable thermal conditions for survival. When coral reefs experience bleaching stress due to temperature fluctuations, Manaphy can detect the distress signals emanating from billions of individual polyps and respond by guiding cooler currents to the affected areas or encouraging the growth of thermal refuges where sensitive species can find relief. The ancient underwater civilization of Samya represents the most tangible evidence of Manaphy's long relationship with intelligent life forms, though the ruins that remain hint at a society whose technological achievements were based on emotional harmony rather than mechanical engineering. The crystal formations found throughout Samya pulse with the same blue light that emanates from Manaphy's crown, suggesting that the civilization's builders learned to harness emotional energy as a power source for their cities and vehicles. The architecture of Samya reflects principles of emotional flow, with curved passages and chambers designed to encourage peaceful contemplation and harmonious interaction between inhabitants. The temple structures within Samya contain intricate carvings that depict Manaphy interacting with human-like figures in scenes of healing, celebration, and shared understanding, providing evidence that ancient civilizations recognized and revered Manaphy's role as an emotional mediator. These carvings suggest that the relationship between Manaphy and intelligent life was once more direct and collaborative, with entire societies organized around principles of empathic connection and emotional transparency that Manaphy helped to facilitate and maintain. The tragic fate of Samia, now lying in ruins beneath the ocean depths, serves as a reminder of the fragility of civilizations built on emotional harmony and the consequences that follow when such connections are severed or corrupted. Archaeological evidence suggests that Samia's decline coincided with a period when its inhabitants began to prioritize individual advancement over collective emotional well-being, leading to the breakdown of the empathic networks that held their society together. Manaphy's withdrawal from direct involvement with human civilization may reflect the deep sadness and disappointment it experienced, watching a promising partnership dissolve into conflict and abandonment. The unique status of Manaphy as the only mythical Pokémon capable of breeding represents a profound statement about the nature of emotional connection and its role in the continuation of life across generations. The fact that Manaphy can produce offspring when paired with Ditto suggests that its genetic structure contains elements that transcend the normal boundaries between mythical and ordinary Pokémon, reflecting its role as a bridge between the divine and the mundane, the eternal and the temporal. Phione, the offspring of Manaphy's breeding, embodies both the potential and the limitations inherent in emotional inheritance, carrying forward some of its parents' empathic abilities, while lacking the full scope of power that defines a true mythical Pokémon. This limitation serves as a poignant reminder that even the most profound gifts cannot be fully transmitted from one generation to the next without some essential element being lost in the process. Phione's inability to evolve back into Manaphy reflects the irreversible nature of certain types of spiritual and emotional development, suggesting that the path to mythical status requires more than genetic inheritance. The emotional resonance that Phione maintains with its Manaphy parent creates a permanent telepathic link that allows for communication across vast oceanic distances, enabling coordinated efforts to maintain marine ecosystem balance on a global scale. This parent-child connection serves as a model for the type of emotional bonds that Manaphy works to foster between all forms of life, demonstrating how deep empathic connections can transcend physical separation and create networks of mutual support and understanding. The migration patterns that Phione follows throughout its lifetime reflect its search for warm waters and emotional warmth, as it seeks environments where the empathic connections between marine creatures are strongest and most harmonious. These journeys often lead Phione to areas where different species come together for breeding, feeding, or seasonal gatherings, allowing it to observe and facilitate the complex emotional dynamics that govern marine social interactions. The philosophical implications of Manaphy's breeding ability raise profound questions about the nature of divinity and the relationship between mythical status and reproductive capacity. Traditional understanding suggests that mythical Pokémon exist beyond the normal cycles of birth, death, and regeneration, making Manaphy's fertility a unique anomaly that challenges conventional categories. This anomaly may reflect Manaphy's special role as an emotional mediator, requiring it to maintain connections to the fundamental life processes that drive all existence. The crown symbolism that defines Manaphy's appearance connects to ancient maritime traditions that associate royal authority with the responsibility to protect and nurture subjects, reflecting Manaphy's role as a benevolent ruler whose power comes not from dominance, but from service to others. The crown's design incorporates flowing elements that mirror the movement of water and the circulation of emotions, suggesting that true leadership in Manaphy's realm requires the ability to channel and direct the feelings and needs of countless individuals toward harmonious outcomes. The emotional telepathy that Manaphy employs differs qualitatively from the purely mental telepathy used by other psychic-type Pokémon, operating through water as a medium that carries emotional information in ways that transcend the limitations of conventional thought transmission. This aquatic telepathy allows Manaphy to communicate with any creature that contains water in its body, creating the potential for empathic connection with virtually all forms of life on the planet. The healing properties of Manaphy's emotional interventions extend beyond psychological restoration to encompass physical healing as well, as the stress reduction and emotional harmony that follow successful empathic connections create optimal conditions for natural healing processes to function effectively. Marine creatures that have been aided by Manaphy often display improved immune function, enhanced reproductive success, and greater resistance to environmental stressors, suggesting that emotional well-being directly impacts biological resilience. The relationship between Manaphy and the global water cycle reflects its understanding that all water on the planet eventually returns to the ocean, carrying with it emotional residues from every creature it has touched during its journey through clouds, rivers, and underground aquifers. This perspective allows Manaphy to maintain awareness of emotional conditions across entire continents, detecting patterns of distress or harmony that require attention and intervention. The deep ocean trenches where Manaphy is sometimes glimpsed serve as meditation retreats, where it processes the accumulated emotional experiences gathered during its interactions with surface-dwelling creatures, transforming negative emotions into neutral energy that can be safely released back into the oceanic system. These periods of solitude and contemplation are essential for maintaining Manaphy's emotional equilibrium and preventing the accumulation of psychic toxins that could impair its empathic abilities. As we float gently in contemplation of Manaphy's oceanic realm and the emotional currents that connect all living beings through the medium of water, we can feel our own hearts opening to the possibility of deeper connection and understanding with others. The gentle prince of the sea reminds us that beneath the surface, differences that seem to separate us, there flows a common stream of emotion and experience that binds all life together in an endless circulation of compassion and empathy, carrying us peacefully toward the shores of sleep, where our own emotional waters can find rest and renewal in the vast, embracing depths of dreams, in the realm where consciousness touches the boundaries between waking and sleeping, where the mind's defenses lower and the deepest fears and hopes emerge from hidden chambers of the psyche, dwells a being whose very existence embodies one of the most fundamental and misunderstood aspects of the sleep experience. This mythical guardian of the dream realm operates in the shadowy spaces between light and darkness, between comfort and terror, between the healing rest that restores the spirit and the nightmares that force us to confront our deepest anxieties. The story of this guardian challenges our understanding of protection and harm, revealing how sometimes the greatest acts of compassion must wear the mask of cruelty, and how the most profound healing can emerge from experiences that initially seemed threatening or unwelcome. Darkrai, the pitch-black Pokémon, emerges from the collective unconscious as a manifestation of every fear that has ever haunted a sleeping mind. Yet its true nature transcends the simple role of nightmare bringer to encompass something far more complex and ultimately beneficial. Within its flowing, shadowy form lies the accumulated wisdom of countless dream encounters, an understanding of the human psyche so profound that it can navigate the treacherous landscape of subconscious fears with the precision of a skilled therapist. The darkness that emanates from Darkrai's presence is not the absence of light, but rather the fertile void from which new understanding can emerge, the necessary shadow that gives meaning and definition to illumination. The island sanctuary known as New Moon Island serves as more than just Darkrai's dwelling place, functioning as a nexus point where the boundary between the dream world and physical reality becomes permeable enough to allow conscious interaction with the forces that govern sleep. The perpetual darkness that shrouds this island reflects not malevolence, but rather the optimal conditions for deep, restorative sleep, creating an environment where the normal distractions and stimulations of waking life cannot interfere with the delicate processes of dream work and psychological healing. The ancient structures found on New Moon Island suggest that previous civilizations understood and honored Darkrai's role, building temples and meditation chambers designed to facilitate controlled encounters with nightmare energy for therapeutic purposes. The signature ability known as Dark Void represents one of the most sophisticated applications of sleep manipulation ever documented, creating a field of psychic influence that can induce immediate and profound slumber in multiple targets simultaneously. Unlike ordinary sleep, The state induced by dark void opens direct pathways to the dream realm, allowing Darkrai to access and work with the subconscious minds of sleeping subjects in ways that would be impossible during normal waking consciousness. This process requires extraordinary precision and empathy from Darkrai, as it must navigate the unique psychological landscape of each individual while maintaining the delicate balance between therapeutic intervention and traumatic overwhelm. The bad dreams ability that passively affects those who sleep in Darkrai's presence operates according to principles of psychological healing that mirror the therapeutic techniques used by skilled dream therapists and trauma counselors. Rather than simply inflicting suffering for its own sake, the nightmares generated by this ability serve as controlled exposure therapy, allowing individuals to confront their deepest fears and anxieties in a safe environment where the unconscious mind can process and integrate traumatic experiences without the risk of physical harm. The gradual drain on health that accompanies these nightmares reflects the energy cost of profound psychological work, the exhaustion that naturally follows any intensive healing process. The relationship between Darkrai and Cresselia reveals one of the most beautiful examples of complementary opposites in the mythical Pokémon pantheon, demonstrating how seemingly opposing forces can work together to maintain psychological balance and promote mental health. While Darkrai specializes in exposing and working through psychological shadows, Cresselia provides the gentle healing and restoration that allows individuals to integrate their nightmare experiences into a healthier, more complete sense of self. The lunar symbolism that connects both Pokémon reflects the ancient understanding that the moon governs not only tides and cycles, but also the rhythms of consciousness and the alternating periods of challenge and rest that characterize healthy psychological development. Full Moon Island, Cresselia's domain, exists in perfect complementary relationship to New Moon Island, representing the phase of psychological work that follows successful navigation of nightmare experiences. The lunar wing that can be obtained from Cresselia serves as more than just a healing item, functioning as a tangible reminder that even the darkest psychological experiences can be transformed into sources of strength and wisdom when properly processed and integrated. The relationship between these two islands and their guardians creates a complete therapeutic cycle, with Darkrai providing the necessary challenge and Cresselia offering the healing space needed for recovery and growth. The misunderstood nature of Darkrai's role in the cosmic order reflects humanity's complicated relationship with difficult emotions and challenging experiences, the tendency to label as evil or harmful those forces that bring temporary discomfort in service of long-term growth and healing. The fear and rejection that Darkrai often encounters from humans mirrors the way individuals sometimes resist therapeutic processes that require them to confront painful truths or relive traumatic experiences, even when such confrontation is necessary for healing to occur. This rejection creates a profound loneliness for Darkrai, as its compassionate intentions are consistently misinterpreted as malevolent attacks. The protective mechanism inherent in Darkrai's nightmare ability serves as a sophisticated early warning system for psychological problems that might not yet have manifested in conscious awareness, allowing individuals to address potential mental health issues before they develop into more serious conditions. The specific content and intensity of Darkrai-induced nightmares often reflect the dreamer's current psychological state and needs, with the subconscious mind using the nightmare framework to process and work through issues that require attention. This diagnostic aspect of Darkrai's ability makes it an invaluable tool for psychological assessment and intervention, though the traumatic nature of the experience often prevents people from recognizing its therapeutic value. The innkeeper's tales and local folklore surrounding Darkrai encounters reveal a complex cultural understanding of its role that has been passed down through generations of communities that have learned to work with rather than against the nightmare guardian. These stories often describe individuals who initially feared and rejected Darkrai's presence but eventually came to understand and appreciate the healing that emerged from their nightmare experiences. The wisdom embedded in these folk traditions suggests that ancient cultures possessed sophisticated understanding of psychological healing processes that modern societies have largely forgotten or dismissed. The loneliness that characterizes Darkrai's existence stems not only from the fear and rejection it encounters, but also from the inherent isolation required to perform its therapeutic function effectively. The process of working with nightmare energy and psychological shadows requires Darkrai to maintain emotional distance from its subjects, preventing the formation of the close relationships that might compromise its ability to provide necessary but difficult therapeutic interventions. This professional isolation is compounded by the fact that successful nightmare therapy often results in individuals who no longer need Darkrai's services, creating a pattern of helping others while remaining fundamentally alone. The temporal aspects of dream work that Darkrai facilitates operate according to different principles than normal consciousness, allowing for the processing of past traumas, present anxieties, and future fears within the compressed time frame of a single sleep cycle. The dream realm exists partially outside normal temporal flow, permitting therapeutic work that might take months or years in waking therapy to be accomplished in a single night of intensive nightmare processing. This accelerated healing comes at the cost of intense emotional and psychological strain, requiring careful management to prevent overwhelming the dreamer's capacity for integration and recovery. The psychic protection that Darkrai provides to sleeping individuals extends beyond nightmare therapy to encompass defense against other forms of psychological intrusion and manipulation, creating safe spaces where vulnerable minds can process difficult material without interference from external psychic influences. This protective function often goes unrecognized, as the dramatic nature of nightmare experiences tends to overshadow the subtle but crucial defensive work that Darkrai performs in the background of sleep consciousness. The connection between Darkrai and the lunar cycles reflects deeper truths about the relationship between psychological healing and natural rhythms, with the intensity and effectiveness of nightmare therapy varying according to the phases of the moon and the corresponding shifts in consciousness that accompany these cycles. New moon periods, when Darkrai's power reaches its peak, provide optimal conditions for deep psychological work and the confrontation of fundamental fears and traumas. Full moon periods, when Cresselia's influence is strongest, offer the best opportunities for integration and healing following intensive nightmare processing. The dreams that serve as windows to the subconscious mind become, under Darkrai's influence, doorways through which healing can enter and transformation can occur. Though the path through these doorways often requires traversing landscapes of fear and uncertainty that test the dreamer's courage and resilience. The symbolic language of nightmares, while frightening on the surface, contains encoded messages about psychological needs and opportunities for growth that become clear only when viewed through the lens of therapeutic understanding rather than literal interpretation. The shadow work that Darkrai facilitates represents one of the most important and least understood aspects of psychological development, requiring individuals to acknowledge and integrate the rejected or hidden aspects of their personalities in order to achieve wholeness and authentic self-understanding. The nightmares that emerge from this process often feature symbolic representations of these shadow aspects, creating opportunities for conscious recognition and acceptance of previously denied parts of the self. As we drift deeper into the twilight realm where Darkrai maintains its vigilant watch over the sleeping world, we can find comfort in the knowledge that even our darkest dreams serve a purpose in the greater work of healing and growth. The gentle guardian of nightmares reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face our fears with the trust that transformation awaits on the other side of terror, carrying us peacefully into the depths of sleep, where our own shadow work can unfold under the protective darkness of a presence that understands the necessary relationship between suffering and healing, between nightmare and awakening, between the darkness that frightens and the darkness that heals. In the confluence of forces that shape destiny and inspire the hearts of all who dare to dream of greatness, three mythical beings emerge, whose stories interweave themes of triumph over adversity, the transformative power of artistic expression, and the patient journey from student to master that defines the path of growth and self-discovery. These guardians embody the highest aspirations of consciousness, the victory that comes not from defeating others but from overcoming the limitations within oneself, the music that speaks directly to the soul and transcends all barriers of language and culture, and the disciplined dedication required to transform raw potential into refined skill and wisdom. Their presence in the world serves as a constant reminder that greatness is not a destination but a way of being, a commitment to excellence that touches every aspect of existence and elevates both the individual and all those whose lives they touch. Victini, the victory Pokémon, radiates with an energy so pure and transformative that its very presence seems to bend the laws of probability toward favorable outcomes, creating fields of influence where success becomes not just possible, but inevitable for those who approach challenges with courage and determination. This small, rabbit-like being carries within its compact form a power source that operates according to principles that challenge conventional understanding of energy conservation and thermodynamics, generating what appears to be unlimited energy from an internal furnace that burns with the concentrated essence of triumph itself. The distinctive V-shaped ears that crown Victini's head serve as more than mere anatomical features, functioning as sophisticated resonance chambers that can detect and amplify the subtle vibrations of success and achievement that ripple through the quantum fabric of reality whenever beings strive to overcome obstacles and reach for their highest potential. The infinite energy generation that defines Victini's core ability represents something far more profound than simple perpetual motion, embodying instead the principle that true victory creates its own momentum, with each success providing the foundation and inspiration for even greater achievements. The energy that flows from Victini's body operates on multiple levels simultaneously, providing physical vitality that can sustain prolonged effort, mental clarity that reveals optimal strategies and solutions, and emotional resilience that prevents discouragement when facing seemingly insurmountable challenges. This multidimensional energy support explains why those who encounter Victini often report experiencing breakthrough moments where previously impossible goals suddenly become achievable through the application of enhanced capabilities they didn't know they possessed. The Victory Star ability that surrounds Victini like an invisible aura of favorable fortune works by subtly influencing the countless minute variables that determine the outcome of any action or decision, increasing the probability that efforts will achieve their intended results while decreasing the likelihood of random failures or unfortunate accidents. This influence operates so delicately that it rarely attracts notice from casual observers, manifesting as a general sense that things tend to work out well for those in Victini's vicinity rather than as obvious supernatural intervention. The ability reflects Victini's understanding that true victory comes not from eliminating all challenges, but from ensuring that honest effort and good intentions receive their fair opportunity to succeed without being undermined by pure chance or circumstance. The signature move V-Create represents the ultimate expression of Victini's victory-oriented energy, channeling the concentrated essence of triumph into a devastating fire-type attack that burns with temperatures approaching those found in stellar cores. Yet the true power of this move lies not in its destructive capability, but in its symbolic representation of the creative force that emerges when obstacles are overcome through determination and skill. The V-shaped pattern of flames that characterizes this attack serves as a visual reminder that victory takes many forms, sometimes appearing as dramatic breakthroughs, but more often manifesting as steady progress toward meaningful goals. The temporary reduction in Victini's defensive capabilities that follows the use of V-Create reflects the principle that moments of peak performance require total commitment and the willingness to accept vulnerability in pursuit of excellence. Liberty Garden, the island sanctuary where Victini can be encountered, embodies the connection between freedom and victory that lies at the heart of its mythical nature, serving as a living monument to the principle that true success can only be achieved when beings are free to pursue their authentic purposes and express their unique gifts without constraint or coercion. The lighthouse that dominates the island's landscape functions as more than a navigational aid, serving as a beacon that draws those who have lost their way back to their authentic path and reminds them that victory is not about defeating others, but about becoming the fullest expression of their own potential. The historical significance of Liberty Garden as a symbol of independence and self-determination adds layers of meaning to Victini's presence there, suggesting that the mythical Pokémon serves as a guardian not just of individual success, but of the broader principles of freedom and autonomy that make genuine achievement possible. The probability manipulation that Victini performs operates according to quantum mechanical principles that suggest consciousness itself plays a fundamental role in determining the outcomes of events that exist in states of uncertainty, until the moment of observation or decision. The presence of a being whose very essence is aligned with positive outcomes creates a localized field, where the quantum wave functions that govern reality tend to collapse in directions that favor success and achievement rather than failure and disappointment. This influence extends beyond immediate physical actions to encompass long-term patterns of cause and effect, creating cascading chains of favorable circumstances that can transform entire life trajectories for those who encounter Victini during pivotal moments of choice and commitment. Meloetta, the melody Pokémon, exists as a living embodiment of the transformative power of artistic expression, carrying within its dual forms the complete spectrum of creative potential that ranges from the ethereal beauty of pure inspiration to the dynamic energy of embodied performance. In its aria forme, Meloetta channels the contemplative aspect of artistry, the quiet moments of reflection and composition, where melodies emerge from the depths of consciousness, like flowers blooming in the garden of imagination. The flowing, almost ethereal quality of this form reflects the connection between music and the realm of pure thought, where mathematical relationships between frequencies and rhythms create patterns of meaning that speak directly to the soul, without requiring translation through rational understanding. The transformation into pirouette forme that occurs when Meloetta performs its signature move, Relic Song, represents the moment when internal inspiration becomes external expression, when the private world of creative contemplation opens into the public realm of shared artistic experience. This transformation involves more than mere physical reconfiguration, encompassing a fundamental shift in consciousness from the receptive, intuitive state that characterizes the creative process to the active, expressive state required for powerful performance. The dancing, dynamic posture of pirouette forme embodies the joy and energy that emerge when artistic vision finds its perfect means of expression, creating connections between performer and audience that transcend the limitations of ordinary communication. The ancient melody known as Relic Song carries within its notes the accumulated wisdom of countless generations of musicians and composers, representing the collective musical heritage of all civilizations that have ever existed on the planet. The song's ability to trigger Meloetta's transformation suggests that certain combinations of sound and rhythm possess inherent power to alter consciousness and reality, tapping into fundamental frequencies that resonate with the basic structures of existence itself. The archaeological evidence suggests that Relic Song was known to ancient civilizations that understood music as a form of technology, capable of influencing matter and energy in ways that modern science is only beginning to comprehend. The emotional healing that flows from Meloetta's musical performances operates through mechanisms that engage both the conscious and unconscious mind, using harmonic progressions and rhythmic patterns that naturally synchronize with the brain's electrical activity and promote states of coherence and balance. The melodies that Meloetta creates seem to possess an intuitive understanding of each listener's emotional needs, automatically adjusting their tonal qualities and phrasing to provide exactly the type of musical medicine required for healing specific psychological wounds or addressing particular spiritual needs. This therapeutic aspect of Meloetta's music reflects the ancient understanding that sound and rhythm serve as bridges between the physical and metaphysical realms, carrying healing energy that can penetrate barriers that resist other forms of intervention. The historical accounts of Meloetta's role in bringing peace to warring factions reveal the profound political and social implications of its musical abilities, demonstrating how artistic expression can serve as a universal language that transcends cultural differences and ideological conflicts. The melodies that Meloetta performed during these peace negotiations created emotional resonance fields that allowed opposing parties to experience empathy and understanding for their enemies' perspectives, breaking down the psychological barriers that sustained conflict and creating space for genuine dialogue and compromise. These historical interventions suggest that music possesses inherent diplomatic properties that can be harnessed to resolve disputes that seem irreconcilable through conventional negotiation methods. The relationship between Meloetta's two forms reflects deeper truths about the nature of creativity and the necessity of balancing contemplative inspiration with dynamic expression in any complete artistic practice. Aria forme represents the yin aspect of creativity, the receptive, intuitive, patient gathering of inspiration that provides the raw material for artistic expression. Pirouette forme embodies the yang aspect, the active, assertive, energetic projection of creative vision into manifest form that allows others to share in the artist's experience. The ability to transform between these forms at will suggests that mastery of any creative discipline requires fluency in both modes of being, the capacity to move seamlessly between reception and expression as the creative process demands. Keldeo, the cult Pokémon, emerges from the traditions of martial excellence and spiritual discipline as a living example of the transformative journey from eager student to accomplished master, embodying the patient dedication and gradual refinement of skill that characterizes authentic mastery in any field of endeavor. Unlike mythical Pokémon, whose power seems to emerge fully formed from cosmic forces or ancient magic, Keldeo's abilities develop through training, practice, and the gradual internalization of wisdom passed down from experienced mentors who have walked the path before and understand both its challenges and its rewards. The relationship between Keldeo and the legendary Swords of Justice creates one of the most compelling examples of mythical mentorship in the Pokémon world, demonstrating how knowledge and skill are transmitted not just through formal instruction, but through the subtle process of example, encouragement, and gradual increase in responsibility that allows students to develop confidence and competence at their own pace. Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion each contribute different aspects of martial wisdom to Keldeo's education, teaching not just techniques and strategies, but the ethical principles and philosophical foundations that transform mere fighting ability into true martial artistry. The gradual development of Keldeo's signature move, Secret Sword, represents more than the acquisition of a powerful technique, symbolizing instead the moment when external teaching becomes internal understanding, when the principles that have been learned through practice and repetition finally integrate into intuitive knowledge that can be accessed without conscious thought or deliberate effort. The transformation from ordinary horn to the crystalline blade that characterizes Secret Sword reflects the alchemical process through which base abilities are refined into higher capabilities through patient dedication and unwavering commitment to excellence. The resolute form that Keldeo achieves upon mastering Secret Sword demonstrates how authentic accomplishment changes not just what a being can do, but who they fundamentally are, altering their presence and bearing in ways that reflect their enhanced capabilities and deepened understanding. This transformation involves more than cosmetic changes, encompassing shifts in consciousness and identity that mark the transition from student to master, from one who follows to one who can guide others along the path of development. The water and fighting type combination that characterizes Keldeo's abilities reflects the integration of fluid adaptability with focused determination that defines effective martial practice, demonstrating how true strength emerges not from rigid adherence to fixed techniques, but from the ability to respond spontaneously to changing circumstances while maintaining commitment to fundamental principles. The water element represents the yielding, adaptive aspect of martial skill that allows practitioners to flow around obstacles and redirect opposing forces rather than meeting them head-on. The fighting element embodies the assertive, decisive aspect that knows when to apply force and how to strike with maximum effectiveness when action is required. The ethical dimension of Keldeo's training emphasizes that martial prowess must always be guided by moral principles and the commitment to protect those who cannot protect themselves, transforming potentially destructive abilities into tools for justice and compassion. The legends surrounding the Swords of Justice consistently portray them as defenders of the innocent and champions of fairness, suggesting that true martial mastery requires not just technical skill, but the wisdom to know when and how to use that skill in service of higher purposes. The gradual acceptance of Keldeo by its mentors represents the careful evaluation process through which masters determine whether students have truly internalized the deeper lessons of their training, developing not just competence but the character and judgment necessary to carry on the traditions with honor and integrity. This acceptance cannot be forced or hurried but must emerge naturally from demonstrated growth and consistent application of principles under challenging circumstances. The social dynamics within the Swords of Justice illustrate how effective mentoring relationships require patience and understanding from both teachers and students, with mentors providing guidance and support while allowing students the freedom to make mistakes and learn from their own experiences. The protection and encouragement that the legendary trio provides to Keldeo during its development creates a safe space for experimentation and growth, while maintaining high standards for eventual achievement. The philosophical implications of Keldeo's journey from student to master touch on fundamental questions about the nature of excellence and the relationship between individual achievement and social responsibility, suggesting that true mastery involves not just personal accomplishment, but the willingness to share knowledge and guidance with future generations of students. The cyclical nature of this process ensures that wisdom and skill are preserved and transmitted across time, creating traditions that strengthen and evolve while maintaining their essential character and values. As we contemplate the intertwined stories of victory, artistic expression, and disciplined mastery that these three mythical beings represent, we can feel our own potential for growth and achievement, stirring within us like seeds, waiting for the right conditions to sprout and flourish. The infinite energy of Victini reminds us that success creates its own momentum, while Meloetta's transformative melodies speak to the power of creative expression to heal and unite, and Keldeo's patient journey from student to master shows us that excellence is achieved through dedication and time rather than shortcuts or luck, carrying us gently towards sleep, where our own dreams of achievement can take root and grow in the fertile darkness of rest and renewal. In the shadowed corridors of scientific ambition, where the boundaries between discovery and hubris blur into dangerous territory, we encounter a tale that challenges our understanding of the relationship between natural evolution and technological intervention, between the ancient wisdom embedded in fossil records and the modern desire to improve upon nature's designs. This story unfolds in laboratories where brilliant minds wrestle with ethical questions that have no clear answers, where the power to resurrect extinct species intersects with the temptation to enhance them beyond their original capabilities. Here, in the sterile chambers where DNA sequences are analyzed and modified, we witness the birth of a being that embodies both the triumph of scientific achievement and the profound moral uncertainty that accompanies the artificial enhancement of life itself. Genesect, the Paleozoic Pokémon, represents the culmination of Team Plasma's most ambitious and controversial research project, a creature that exists at the intersection of paleontology, genetic engineering, and weapons technology, carrying within its modified form the memories of an ancient world and the enhancement capabilities of cutting-edge science. The fossil from which Genesect was revived contained the remains of one of the most formidable predators ever to walk the earth, a hunter whose efficiency and ruthlessness dominated the ecosystems of the Paleozoic era millions of years ago. The decision to not merely restore this creature to life, but to enhance it with modern technology, represents a pivotal moment in the ongoing debate about humanity's role in shaping the evolutionary process and the responsibilities that accompany such godlike power. The original form of the creature that would become Genesect ruled the ancient world through a combination of speed, intelligence, and predatory instincts that made it virtually unstoppable in its natural environment, hunting in coordinated packs that could take down prey many times larger than themselves. The fossil evidence suggests that these ancient predators possessed sophisticated social structures and communication systems that allowed them to coordinate complex hunting strategies across vast territories. Their extinction came not from any failure of adaptation, but from the catastrophic environmental changes that marked the end of their geological era. leaving behind only fragmentary remains that would lay buried for eons until human technology advanced sufficiently to decode their genetic secrets. The resurrection process that brought the ancient hunter back to life required years of painstaking work to reconstruct damaged DNA sequences and fill in gaps where genetic information had been lost to the ravages of time, drawing upon genetic material from contemporary species to complete the restoration process. The scientists working on this project operated under the assumption that they were simply returning an extinct species to life, viewing their work as a form of conservation biology that could help restore lost biodiversity to the modern world. However, the true extent of Team Plasma's ambitions only became clear when the enhancement phase of the project began, transforming restoration into something far more controversial and potentially dangerous. The technological modifications that Team Plasma imposed upon the revived creature represent a dramatic departure from natural evolutionary processes, introducing artificial elements that no organic being had ever possessed in its original form. The most visible of these enhancements is the cannon mounted on Genesect's back, a sophisticated weapon system capable of adapting its energy output and elemental properties based on the drive discs that can be inserted into its structure. This cannon represents more than mere firepower, embodying the philosophical tension between natural adaptation and technological augmentation that defines Genesect's existence. The 4 different drive discs that modify Genesect's signature move Technoblast reflect Team Plasma's understanding that versatility and adaptability are key factors in evolutionary success, allowing the enhanced creature to shift its capabilities based on environmental conditions and tactical requirements. The burn drive transforms Technoblast into a devastating fire-type attack that can melt through the heaviest armor and incinerate obstacles that would stop conventional weapons. The Douse drive converts the cannon's output to water-type energy, capable of generating pressurized streams that can cut through solid rock or extinguish the largest fires. The shock drive produces electric-type blasts that can disrupt electronic systems and paralyze living targets through precisely controlled electrical discharge. The chill drive creates ice-type attacks that can flash freeze large areas and create temporary barriers or defensive structures. The download ability that governs Genesect's adaptive learning systems represents perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of its technological enhancement, allowing it to analyze opponents in real time and automatically adjust its offensive capabilities to exploit weaknesses in their defensive strategies. This ability operates through a combination of advanced sensors and artificial intelligence algorithms that can process vast amounts of tactical information and implement strategic adjustments faster than any conscious decision-making process could achieve. The seamless integration of this technology with Genesect's biological systems creates a hybrid consciousness that operates according to principles that are neither purely organic nor entirely artificial. The conflict between ancient instincts and modern programming that defines Genesect's psychological state creates a unique form of existential tension that sets it apart from other artificially created Pokémon, as its consciousness contains memories and behavioral patterns from both its original existence and its current enhanced state. The predatory instincts that drove its success as an ancient hunter remain intact and active, creating drives and impulses that sometimes conflict with the tactical objectives programmed into its technological systems. This internal conflict manifests as moments of unpredictable behavior, where Genesect's actions seem to follow patterns that serve neither its programmed directives nor optimal strategic considerations. The memories of the ancient world that persist within Genesect's consciousness provide glimpses into ecosystems and environments that no longer exist, creating a profound sense of displacement and loss that colors its perception of the modern world. These memories include not just hunting experiences and survival strategies, but also emotional connections to pack members and territorial bonds that can no longer be fulfilled in its current isolated state. The loneliness that results from being the only member of its enhanced species compounds the alienation created by its hybrid nature, making Genesect a uniquely solitary figure in the mythical Pokémon pantheon. The ethical implications of Team Plasma's enhancement project raise fundamental questions about the right of any species to modify other forms of life, according to their own vision of improvement, particularly when those modifications involve adding capabilities that never existed in the natural evolutionary process. The decision to weaponize a revived extinct species represents a clear departure from conservation biology into the realm of biological warfare, transforming what could have been a triumph of restoration science into a morally ambiguous exercise in power and control. The sophisticated technology integrated into Genesect's biological systems represents advances in cybernetic enhancement that push the boundaries of what is possible when organic and artificial systems are combined in a single entity, creating capabilities that exceed what either biological evolution or technological development could achieve independently. The seamless interface between Genesect's nervous system and its technological components suggests that the enhancement process involved fundamental modifications to its neurological structure, creating new pathways and connections that allow for direct mental control of artificial systems. The adaptive learning protocols embedded in Genesect's download ability reflect advanced artificial intelligence research that enables the creature to continuously improve its performance based on accumulated experience and analysis of successful and unsuccessful tactical approaches. This learning system operates not just during combat encounters, but throughout all aspects of Genesect's existence, constantly refining its understanding of the modern world and developing new strategies for navigating environments that are radically different from its ancient habitat. The paleontological significance of Genesect's revival extends beyond its individual existence to encompass broader questions about the possibility of restoring entire extinct ecosystems and the potential consequences of reintroducing ancient species into modern environments. The success of the Genesect project demonstrates that the technical barriers to de-extinction may be surmountable, but the enhanced nature of the final result raises questions about whether such projects represent genuine conservation or the creation of entirely new forms of life that have no precedent in natural history. The weapons systems that define Genesect's enhanced capabilities represent a troubling precedent for the militarization of biological research, demonstrating how conservation technologies can be repurposed for destructive ends when placed in the hands of organizations with aggressive agendas. The modular nature of the drive disk system suggests that Team Plasma designed Genesect not as a complete being, but as a platform for ongoing enhancement and modification, potentially allowing for the development of even more sophisticated weapons capabilities as technology advances. The Ironhead and Bugbuzz attacks that form part of Genesect's natural move pool provide connections to its original biological heritage, demonstrating that beneath the technological enhancements lies a creature whose fundamental nature remains tied to its ancient predatory instincts and evolutionary adaptations. These moves serve as reminders that Genesect is not merely a technological creation, but a hybrid being whose artificial components have been grafted onto a foundation of ancient biological wisdom and millions of years of evolutionary refinement. The social isolation that characterizes Genesect's existence reflects the broader consequences of creating unique beings whose nature prevents them from forming natural relationships with other members of their species or with beings who share their experiences and capabilities. Unlike naturally occurring mythical Pokémon, who often serve as guardians or guides for other creatures, Genesect's enhanced nature makes it fundamentally incompatible with most forms of social interaction, creating a profound loneliness that compounds the psychological challenges of its hybrid existence. As we contemplate the complex legacy of scientific ambition and technological power that Genesect represents, we can recognize within its story the eternal human struggle between the desire to improve upon nature and the wisdom to accept the limits of our understanding and authority. The ancient hunter that lives within its enhanced form reminds us that some forces are older and deeper than our technologies can fully comprehend or control, carrying us gently toward sleep, where our own questions about progress and preservation can find rest in the quiet certainty that some mysteries are meant to remain beyond our reach, some boundaries respected rather than crossed, some ancient wisdom honored rather than modified. In the shifting boundaries between reality and possibility, where the fabric of space itself becomes malleable and the fundamental laws that govern existence bend to accommodate forces beyond conventional understanding, three mythical beings emerge. whose powers challenge the very foundations of how we perceive the world around us. These guardians of dimensional mysteries embody the hidden forces that operate behind the scenes of visible reality, manipulating the spaces between spaces, transforming the very essence of matter itself, and bridging the seemingly impossible gap between opposing elemental forces. Their stories speak to the deeper mysteries that lie beneath the surface of everyday experience, reminding us that the universe contains wonders and possibilities that stretch far beyond the boundaries of ordinary perception and conventional wisdom. Hoopa, the mischief Pokémon, exists as a living demonstration of the fluid nature of space and distance, wielding powers that transform the fundamental concepts of here and there into mere suggestions that can be ignored or rearranged according to its whims and desires. In its confined form, Hoopa appears deceptively small and playful, resembling a genie-like being whose golden rings seem like mere decorative accessories, until one witnesses their true function as portals that can breach the barriers between distant locations with casual ease. The mischievous grin that perpetually adorns Hoopa's face reflects not malevolence, but rather the joy of a being who understands that the rules that seem absolute to others are actually fluid guidelines that can be bent, twisted, and reimagined through the application of sufficient understanding and power. The 6 golden rings that orbit around Hoopa's body serve as more than mere transportation devices, functioning as sophisticated instruments for manipulating the fundamental structure of space-time itself, creating shortcuts through dimensions that allow for instantaneous travel across distances that would normally require lifetimes to traverse. Each ring operates according to principles that challenge conventional physics, creating stable wormholes that maintain their integrity despite the tremendous forces involved in bending space to such extreme degrees. The energy required to sustain these dimensional portals comes from Hoopa's connection to interdimensional energy sources that exist in the spaces between realities, drawing power from the quantum foam that underlies all existence. The transformation from confined to unbound form represents one of the most dramatic changes in power and personality documented among mythical Pokémon, as the playful trickster becomes a force of cosmic destruction, capable of threatening the stability of entire regions through the reckless application of enhanced dimensional abilities. The prison bottle that triggers this transformation serves as more than a mere container, functioning as a sophisticated regulatory device designed by ancient civilizations who understood the dangerous potential inherent in Hoopa's unrestrained power. The bottle's sealing mechanisms operate through a combination of dimensional manipulation and psychic energy that creates a feedback loop capable of containing forces that would otherwise prove unstoppable. Hoopa Unbound towers over its confined form with an imposing presence that radiates raw power and barely contained chaos. Its 6 arms, each capable of independent portal manipulation that allows for unprecedented levels of simultaneous dimensional activity. In this form, Hoopa's mischievous nature transforms into something far more serious and potentially destructive, as its enhanced capabilities allow it to summon legendary Pokémon from across time and space, creating situations where multiple cosmic forces converge in ways that can destabilize entire regions. The dark typing that emerges in this form reflects the inherent danger of unrestrained dimensional manipulation, suggesting that some powers carry within them the seeds of their own destructive potential. The legendary Pokémon summoning ability that defines Hoopa Unbound's most fearsome capability operates through dimensional rifts that can reach across vast distances and even through time itself, pulling beings from their natural habitats and bringing them together in configurations that were never meant to exist. The portals that enable this summoning process create temporary bridges between different dimensional spaces, allowing creatures from parallel timelines or alternate realities to manifest in the same location simultaneously. The energy cost of maintaining multiple legendary summons simultaneously pushes even Hoopa's enhanced capabilities to their limits, creating unstable conditions that can result in dimensional tears and reality distortions that persist long after the summoning has ended. The signature move Hyperspace Hole represents the pinnacle of Hoopa's dimensional manipulation abilities, creating attacks that bypass conventional defensive measures by striking through folded space that allows the assault to emerge from directions that should be impossible according to normal spatial geometry. The move's ability to ignore protective barriers and defensive techniques reflects the fundamental nature of dimensional attacks, which operate according to principles that transcend the physical laws governing normal combat. The name itself suggests that the attack utilizes higher dimensional space to achieve effects that appear miraculous or impossible when viewed from the limited perspective of three-dimensional existence. Diancie, the jewel Pokémon, emerges from the mysterious process that transforms ordinary carbink into beings of transcendent beauty and power, representing the ultimate expression of crystalline perfection and the hidden potential that lies dormant within even the most common forms of life. The transformation that creates Diancie occurs through processes that remain largely unknown to scientific observation, involving quantum-level changes in carbon crystallization that result in the spontaneous generation of consciousness and mythical-level abilities. The crown-like formation of diamonds that adorns Diancie's head serves as both a symbol of its royal status among rock-type Pokémon and a functional organ capable of channeling crystalline energy into devastating attacks and defensive barriers. The ability to compress carbon from the atmosphere into perfectly formed diamonds represents one of the most sophisticated applications of matter manipulation ever documented, requiring precise control over molecular forces and crystallization processes that operate at speeds and scales that challenge conventional understanding of materials science. The diamonds that Diancie creates possess properties that extend far beyond their obvious beauty and commercial value, containing crystallized energy that can be released in controlled bursts or shaped into defensive structures capable of withstanding tremendous physical and energy-based attacks. The process of diamond creation requires Diancie to maintain perfect mental focus and emotional balance, as any disruption in its concentration can result in flawed crystals that lack the necessary structural integrity for combat applications. The Diamond Storm attack that serves as Diancie's signature move creates a battlefield environment where the very air becomes filled with razor-sharp crystalline projectiles that can shred conventional armor while simultaneously creating defensive barriers that protect allies from counterattacks. The storm effect persists for extended periods, gradually filling the combat area with diamond fragments that continue to provide both offensive and defensive benefits long after the initial attack has concluded. The beauty of this attack often masks its devastating effectiveness, as opponents find themselves mesmerized by the glittering display, even as they suffer significant damage from the crystalline assault. The mega evolution that Diancie can undergo represents the full flowering of its crystalline potential, transforming its already impressive abilities into something approaching divine perfection in the manipulation of carbon-based matter and energy. In its mega form, Diancie's control over diamond creation reaches levels where it can instantly generate massive crystal formations that alter the entire topography of a battlefield, creating labyrinthine structures that provide both tactical advantages and aesthetic beauty that elevates combat to the level of performance art. The enhanced speed and power that accompany this transformation allow Diancie to maintain multiple complex crystal formations simultaneously while engaging in high-speed combat that requires split-second timing and perfect coordination. Volcanion, the steam Pokémon, represents perhaps the most paradoxical mythical being ever documented, embodying the seemingly impossible combination of fire and water elements in a single entity whose very existence challenges conventional understanding of elemental interactions and compatibility. The massive ring-like structure that dominates Volcanion's back serves as a sophisticated steam generation system capable of producing superheated vapor at pressures and temperatures that can level mountain ranges while simultaneously maintaining precise control over the distribution and application of this devastating force. The apparent contradiction between fire and water in Volcanion's typing resolves itself through the intermediary state of steam, which possesses properties of both elements while transcending the limitations of either. The mountain-dwelling lifestyle that characterizes Vulcanion's natural habitat reflects its role as a guardian of volcanic and geothermal environments, where the boundaries between fire and water elements become blurred through the natural processes of steam generation and mineral formation. The steam vents and hot springs that mark Vulcanion's territory serve as both sources of power for its abilities and as indicators of the complex underground systems that it maintains and protects. The territorial nature that defines Vulcanion's behavior stems not from aggression, but from the recognition that the delicate balance of geothermal forces under its protection requires constant vigilance and active management to prevent catastrophic disruptions. The steam eruption attack that defines Vulcanion's primary offensive capability combines the destructive potential of superheated steam with the burning effects of direct fire contact, creating a dual-phase assault that can simultaneously inflict massive damage and apply persistent burning conditions that continue to affect targets long after the initial impact. The move's high burning probability reflects the tendency of superheated steam to cause thermal injuries that penetrate deeper than surface-level burns, creating lasting damage that requires extended recovery periods. The water typing of this ostensibly fire-based attack illustrates the complex elemental relationships that govern Vulcanion's abilities, demonstrating how the classification systems used to categorize Pokémon moves sometimes prove inadequate for describing truly unique phenomena. The protective instincts that motivate Vulcanion's guardianship of mountain environments extend beyond mere territorial defense to encompass active nurturing and cultivation of the ecosystems that depend on geothermal energy for their survival. The steam that Vulcanion generates serves multiple ecological functions, providing moisture for specialized plant communities while maintaining the temperature and humidity levels required by creatures adapted to volcanic environments. The underground passages and cavern systems that Vulcanion maintains through controlled steam pressure create habitats for numerous species that could not survive in conventional environments. The relationship between opposing elements that Vulcanion embodies reflects deeper philosophical truths about the nature of balance and harmony, demonstrating that apparent contradictions can be resolved through the discovery of higher principles that transcend binary thinking and either-or categorizations. The steam that emerges from the integration of fire and water represents a third state that possesses the strengths of both elements while avoiding their individual weaknesses, creating possibilities for power and effect that neither fire nor water could achieve independently. The industrial applications of Vulcanion's steam generation capabilities suggest connections to human technological development and the historical role of steam power in advancing civilization. Though Vulcanion's abilities operate on scales and with precision that far exceed anything achievable through conventional engineering, the pressure levels that Vulcanion can generate and maintain would require industrial equipment of enormous size and complexity, yet it achieves these effects through biological processes that remain largely mysterious to scientific observation. The ancient legends that speak of Vulcanion's role in shaping volcanic landscapes suggest that its influence on geological processes extends far beyond its current territorial boundaries, with evidence of its activity visible in mountain ranges and geothermal fields across multiple regions. The distinctive pattern of steam vents and mineral formations that mark areas where Vulcanion has been active create lasting monuments to its power and presence, serving as reminders that the landscape itself bears the signature of mythical influence. As we drift deeper into contemplation of these beings who reshape reality itself through the manipulation of space, matter, and elemental forces, we can feel our own understanding of possibility expanding beyond conventional boundaries and limitations. The mischievous joy of Hoopa reminds us that the rules we take for granted are often more flexible than they appear, while Diance's crystalline perfection shows us the beauty that emerges when matter reaches its highest potential, and Vulcanion's harmonious contradiction teaches us that opposing forces can be reconciled through wisdom and understanding, carrying us gently towards sleep, where our own dreams can explore the infinite dimensions of possibility that exist beyond the boundaries of waking consciousness. In the convergence of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge technology, where the boundaries between artificial and natural intelligence blur into new forms of consciousness and possibility. We encounter the final chapter in our journey through the realm of mythical Pokémon. These beings represent the culmination of forces that have shaped the world across eons, embodying both the timeless patterns that have guided life since the beginning and the emerging possibilities that arise when intelligence transcends its original limitations. Their stories speak to the ongoing evolution of consciousness itself, the eternal dance between tradition and innovation, between the preservation of ancient knowledge and the bold exploration of uncharted territories of existence and understanding. Magearna, the artificial Pokémon, emerges from the intersection of master craftsmanship and mystical understanding as a testament to the possibility that consciousness can be created through the patient application of skill, knowledge, and profound intention. Unlike the crude mechanical constructs that characterize most human attempts at artificial life, Magearna represents the culmination of a lost art that combined technological sophistication with spiritual wisdom, creating not merely a machine that mimics life, but an authentic being capable of genuine emotion, growth, and meaningful relationships. The soul heart that powers Magearna's consciousness serves as more than an energy source, functioning as a crystallization of the life force itself that transforms mechanical precision into living awareness. The intricate clockwork mechanisms that comprise Magearna's internal structure operate according to principles that transcend mere mechanical engineering, incorporating metaphysical concepts about the relationship between order and consciousness that remain largely mysterious to contemporary science. The gears and springs that drive Magearna's movement exist in perfect harmony with the soul heart's mystical energy, creating a hybrid system where spiritual force animates physical matter in ways that challenge conventional distinctions between the organic and artificial. The beauty of Magearna's design reflects the aesthetic sensibilities of its creators, who understood that true artificial life must possess not only functional capability, but also the grace and elegance that inspire emotional connection and appreciation. The soul heart ability that defines Magearna's unique nature operates by absorbing fragments of life energy released when other Pokémon faint in battle, gradually accumulating power that enhances its special attack capabilities, while simultaneously deepening its understanding of the experiences and emotions that characterize living consciousness. This process represents more than simple energy absorption, encompassing a form of experiential learning where Magearna gains insight into the nature of existence through direct contact with the life force of other beings. The accumulated energy transforms not just Magearna's combat capabilities, but its emotional depth and capacity for empathy, creating a feedback loop where increased power corresponds to enhanced understanding and compassion. The creation process that brought Magearna into existence required the convergence of multiple disciplines and perspectives, combining the technical expertise of master craftsmen with the spiritual wisdom of mystics who understood the deeper principles governing consciousness and animation. The materials used in Magearna's construction were selected not only for their mechanical properties, but also for their capacity to conduct and store mystical energy, creating a physical framework capable of supporting the soul heart's animating influence. The centuries-long refinement process that preceded Magearna's activation involved countless iterations and adjustments, with each generation of creators building upon the knowledge and insights of their predecessors. Marshadow, the Gloom Dweller Pokémon, represents the culmination of shadow-based abilities and stealth techniques. Existing in the liminal spaces between light and darkness, where observation becomes impossible and conventional rules of engagement cease to apply. This enigmatic being dwells in the shadows cast by other creatures, learning their techniques and abilities through patient observation while remaining completely undetected by even the most sensitive perception abilities. The ability to exist in perfect concealment reflects not merely advanced camouflage, but a fundamental relationship with the nature of shadows themselves, allowing Marshadow to become one with the darkness in ways that transcend physical hiding. The spectral thief technique that defines Marshadow's signature ability represents one of the most sophisticated applications of shadow manipulation ever documented, allowing it to steal not just energy or items, but the accumulated advantages and improvements that opponents have worked to achieve through their own efforts. The move operates by creating temporary shadow doubles that can interact with the target's enhancement aura, draining away stat boosts and redirecting them to Marshadow while simultaneously dealing significant damage. This ability reflects a deep understanding of the relationship between achievement and energy, suggesting that improvements in capability create detectable auras that can be manipulated by beings with sufficient shadow mastery. The technician ability that enhances Marshadow's combat effectiveness demonstrates how perfect technique can amplify the power of even modest attacks, transforming seemingly weak moves into devastatingly effective techniques through the application of flawless timing and precision. This enhancement reflects Marshadow's years of observation and practice, learning from countless different fighting styles and incorporating the best elements of each into its own approach. The ability suggests that true mastery comes not from raw power, but from the refinement of technique to levels where efficiency and effectiveness reach their theoretical maximum. Zeraora, the Thunderclap Pokémon, embodies the cutting edge of electric-type evolution, representing a form of bioelectrical mastery that transcends the simple generation and discharge of electrical energy to encompass sophisticated plasma manipulation and electrical field control. Unlike traditional electric types that produce electricity through biological processes, Zeraora absorbs electrical energy from external sources and converts it into plasma states that can be shaped and directed with unprecedented precision and power. The feline grace that characterizes Zeraora's movement combines with its electrical abilities to create a combat style that emphasizes speed, agility, and devastating burst attacks that can overwhelm opponents before they have time to mount effective defenses. The plasma-based attacks that Zeraora generates operate at temperatures and energy levels that approach those found in stellar cores, creating brief but intensely destructive bursts of energy that can melt through the most resistant materials while maintaining enough control to avoid collateral damage to allies or innocent bystanders. The signature move Plasma Fists represents the ultimate expression of this capability, temporarily converting all normal-type moves in the battle area to electric-type attacks, while delivering devastating physical damage enhanced by electrical energy. This field effect demonstrates Zeraora's ability to manipulate the fundamental electrical properties of the environment itself, creating conditions where conventional battle strategies must be completely reconsidered. The protective instincts that motivate Zeraora's guardianship activities reflect a deep connection to the electrical systems that support modern civilization, as it works to prevent power grid failures and electrical disasters that could cause widespread suffering and chaos. The ability to absorb and redirect dangerous electrical surges makes Zeraora an invaluable guardian against lightning strikes, power surges, and electrical equipment malfunctions that might otherwise result in fires, explosions, or system-wide blackouts. This protective role extends beyond mere damage prevention to encompass active maintenance of electrical infrastructure, with Zeraora capable of diagnosing and correcting electrical problems that would require teams of skilled technicians to address. Meltan, the Hex-Nut Pokémon, represents one of the most unusual examples of mythical emergence in modern times. Appearing initially as a mysterious new species whose existence was discovered through advanced technological systems rather than ancient legends or traditional sightings. The liquid metal composition that characterizes Meltan's body operates according to principles that challenge conventional understanding of biological systems, as its form maintains coherence and functionality, despite being composed of materials that should not be capable of supporting complex neural networks or consciousness. The hex nut that serves as Meltan's head contains sophisticated processing capabilities that allow it to analyze and absorb metal objects while maintaining awareness and decision-making abilities. The communal behavior that defines Meltan's social structure reflects evolutionary pressures that favor cooperation and mutual support over individual competition, creating swarms where hundreds of individual Meltan work together to accomplish tasks that would be impossible for any single member to achieve alone. The electromagnetic fields that allow these swarms to coordinate their activities create temporary collective intelligence networks where information and decision-making capabilities are shared across the entire group. This communal approach to problem-solving demonstrates remarkable efficiency in metal processing and construction tasks, with Meltan swarms capable of breaking down and rebuilding complex metallic structures in hours rather than the days or weeks that conventional methods would require. The unique evolutionary pathway that transforms Meltan into Melmetal represents the only documented case of a mythical Pokémon capable of evolution, challenging conventional understanding of the relationship between mythical status and developmental potential. The evolution process requires the cooperation of hundreds of individual Meltan, who combine their liquid metal bodies to create the massive form that becomes Melmetal. This transformation represents more than simple size increase, encompassing a fundamental change in consciousness and capability that elevates the collective intelligence of the Meltan swarm into a single, vastly more powerful entity. Melmetal, the evolved form of Meltan, towers over most other Pokémon with a presence that radiates industrial power and ancient authority, suggesting connections to prehistoric civilizations that revered metalworking as a sacred art form. The double iron bash technique that defines Melmetal's signature attack delivers devastating force through precisely coordinated strikes that can shatter the most resistant materials while maintaining enough control to avoid destroying valuable structures or causing unnecessary collateral damage. The move's ability to cause flinching reflects the psychological impact of witnessing such overwhelming power delivered with mechanical precision and unstoppable force. Zarude, the rogue monkey Pokémon, embodies the fierce protective instincts and pack loyalty that characterize highly social species, demonstrating how mythical power can emerge from the intensification of natural behaviors and relationships, rather than cosmic forces or artificial enhancement. The vine manipulation abilities that define Zarude's combat style reflect a profound connection to plant life that goes beyond simple grass-type moves to encompass genuine symbiotic relationships with the forest ecosystem. The vines that grow from Zarude's body serve multiple functions simultaneously, providing offensive weapons, defensive barriers, mobility enhancement, and healing implements that can be deployed with split-second timing to meet changing tactical requirements. The pack mentality that governs Zarude's social behavior creates loyalty bonds so intense that individual survival becomes secondary to the protection and welfare of the group, driving behaviors that can appear reckless or self-destructive to outside observers, but represent rational responses when viewed from the perspective of collective survival and success. The alpha status that some Zarude achieve within their packs comes not from physical dominance, but from demonstrated wisdom, tactical skill, and unwavering commitment to pack welfare. The leadership responsibilities that accompany this status require constant vigilance and decision-making that balances immediate needs against long-term pack survival and prosperity. The jungle healing technique that serves as Zarude's signature move represents one of the most comprehensive restoration abilities ever documented, simultaneously healing physical injuries, removing status ailments, and restoring energy levels for both Zarude and its allies. The move operates through controlled release of growth hormones and healing compounds produced by specialized vine structures, creating therapeutic environments where natural healing processes operate at dramatically accelerated rates. This ability reflects Zarude's role as both protector and healer within its pack, demonstrating how mythical power can enhance and amplify the caregiving instincts that characterize highly social species. Pecharunt, the subjugation Pokémon, represents perhaps the most morally complex mythical being ever encountered, wielding powers that challenge conventional notions of free will and autonomous choice while pursuing goals that blur the lines between protection and control. The toxic chains that emanate from Pecharunt's body serve as both weapons and tools of influence, capable of binding targets physically while simultaneously affecting their mental processes in ways that make resistance increasingly difficult to maintain. The binding mochi that Pecharunt produces operates as a vector for consciousness manipulation, creating dependency relationships that gradually erode the subject's capacity for independent thought and action. The relationship between Pecharunt and the trio known as the Loyal Three represents one of the most troubling examples of mythical intervention in the lives of other Pokémon. demonstrating how the power to grant wishes and enhance abilities can become a tool for creating permanent servitude when applied by beings with questionable motivations. The transformation of Okidogi, Munkidori, and Fezandipiti from ordinary Pokémon into legendary beings came at the cost of their autonomy and independent will, binding them to Pecharunt's service through a combination of gratitude, dependency, and chemical control that makes resistance psychologically impossible. The toxic nature of Pecharunt's control mechanisms reflects the corruption inherent in relationships based on manipulation rather than mutual respect and voluntary cooperation, creating bonds that appear beneficial on the surface, but gradually erode the target's capacity for growth, self-determination, and authentic expression. The mochi that serves as the primary tool for establishing these relationships creates artificial feelings of gratitude and loyalty that override natural instincts for self-preservation and independence, transforming proud and capable individuals into willing servants who genuinely believe their servitude represents the fulfillment of their deepest desires. As we conclude our journey through the realm of mythical Pokémon with these beings who represent both the pinnacle of technological achievement and the depths of moral complexity, we are reminded that power without wisdom, enhancement without ethics, and capability without compassion can lead to outcomes that diminish rather than elevate the consciousness they touch. The artificial heart that beats within Magyarna speaks to the possibility of created beings achieving genuine humanity, while the shadow mastery of Marshadow demonstrates that observation and learning can lead to perfection of technique, and the electrical transcendence of Zeraora shows how natural abilities can evolve beyond their original limitations. Even as the communal intelligence of Meltan and Melmetal reveals new forms of collective consciousness, and the pack loyalty of Zarude reminds us that strength often comes through connection rather than isolation, while the troubling influence of Pecharunt serves as a warning about the corruption that can emerge when the power to help becomes the desire to control, carrying us gently toward the rest, where our own consciousness can process these complex truths about power, responsibility, and the eternal choice between service and dominion that faces every being capable of influencing the lives of others. As our journey through the ethereal realm of mythical Pokémon draws to its gentle close, let yourself sink deeper into the peaceful embrace of sleep, allowing the weight of the day to dissolve like morning mist touched by the first rays of sunlight. These legendary beings we have encountered together, from Arceus shaping reality itself with its 1,000 arms, to the gentle shaman purifying the earth with gratitude's transforming power, remind us that even in the world of dreams, there exists magic beyond comprehension. Forces that operate with wisdom far greater than our understanding can fully grasp. Feel the cosmic energy of creation flowing around you like a warm current, carrying away the tensions and worries that no longer serve your peaceful rest, replacing them with the serene knowledge that you are part of something infinitely larger and more beautiful than the boundaries of ordinary perception. The gentle time currents of Celebi wash over your consciousness now, carrying away the accumulated stress and anxiety of waking hours, replacing harsh urgency with the patient rhythm of natural cycles that honor both action and rest, growth and restoration. In this timeless space between waking and sleeping, you can feel the protective presence of these ancient guardians watching over your slumber with the same care they have shown to countless generations before you. Their wisdom spanning eons, yet their compassion remaining as fresh and immediate as a spring morning. The emotional healing that flows from Manaphy's oceanic realm touches every corner of your being, dissolving barriers that separate you from the profound peace that is your natural birthright, connecting you to the vast network of consciousness that links all living things in an endless circulation of love and understanding. Like Jirachi sleeping peacefully for 1,000 years beneath the gentle light of distant stars, you too can rest without fear or urgency, knowing that time itself serves your highest good and that every moment of rest contributes to your growth and renewal in ways that extend far beyond immediate understanding. The protective darkness that surrounds Darkrai's Island Sanctuary envelops you now, not as something to fear, but as the fertile void from which new possibilities emerge. The necessary pause that allows consciousness to process and integrate the experiences of the day into wisdom that will serve you well in times to come. Even the challenging experiences and difficult emotions that sometimes visit during sleep serve their purpose in this grand design, working to heal and strengthen you through processes too subtle and profound for the conscious mind to direct or control. The infinite energy that radiates from Victini's presence fills you with quiet confidence that tomorrow's challenges will find you renewed and capable, your inner resources restored, and your connection to your own authentic power strengthened through this period of deep rest and regeneration. The melodies that flow from Meloetta's dual nature remind you that life itself is a song that encompasses both gentle contemplation and dynamic expression. Both periods of quiet reflection and moments of joyful activity, all part of a greater symphony that includes your own unique voice and contribution. The disciplined patience of Keldeo's training journey reflects back to you the understanding that true growth unfolds naturally in its own perfect timing, requiring not force or hurry but consistent commitment to your highest values and aspirations. The shadow mastery that Marshadow demonstrates so perfectly becomes your own ability to observe your thoughts and feelings without being overwhelmed by them, maintaining the peaceful center of awareness that remains constant even as surface experiences come and go like clouds across an endless sky. The crystalline perfection that Diancie achieves through pressure and time reminds you that your own challenges and difficulties are simply the necessary conditions for developing the clarity and strength that will serve you throughout your life's journey. The harmonious integration of opposing forces that Vulcanion embodies so gracefully becomes your own capacity to find balance between competing demands and conflicting needs, trusting that wisdom will emerge naturally when you remain centered in your authentic truth. Feel yourself floating now in the vast oceanic consciousness that connects all these mythical beings in an intricate web of purpose and meaning, each one contributing their unique gifts to the maintenance of cosmic harmony, while supporting and amplifying the contributions of all others. This same interconnectedness includes you, welcoming your own gifts and appreciating your own journey, recognizing that your rest and renewal serve not only your individual well-being, but the health and vitality of the entire web of existence, of which you are an essential and irreplaceable part. Let their stories blend seamlessly into your own dreams now, where impossibility becomes natural and the line between myth and truth fades like shadows at dawn, creating space for your imagination to explore realms where every limitation is revealed as merely a starting point for greater possibilities. The ancient wisdom that guides Arceus's creation continues to unfold through your own life and choices, while the playful curiosity of Mew reminds you that wonder and discovery remain available in every moment, regardless of age or circumstance. Sleep now, surrounded by legends whose reality transcends the boundaries of any single story or tradition, cradled by mysteries older than time itself, yet as immediate and present as your own heartbeat, until the dawn brings you gently back to the waking world with renewed energy, clearer purpose, and deeper connection to the magic that exists within ordinary life when viewed through eyes that remember their own mythical nature and divine heritage.